Welcome to another episode of Family Gamer TV. I'm with Hugues Ricour, senior producer, Assassin's Creed 3.
Absolutely. Very nice meeting you.
You've been revealing lots more information about Assassin's Creed. But if someone hasn't played, or well, he hasn't tracked with the whole series, so I played a lot of the very first game, and I've sort of dipped in and out since then. How has it come on since that? I know it's come on a long way, but what are the sort of the highlights of what an Assassin's Creed game is now?
Well, actually, Assassin's Creed 3 is a perfect entry point for newcomers to the series. The main reasons are that it's a new setting, brand new setting, happening across 30 years of the American Revolution. Mm-hmm. We have a new hero. So Assassin's Creed is about revisiting amazing periods of history and where there were pivotal aspects to government's politics in that war between assassins and the Templars. Mm-hmm. This war happened, across a lot of centuries. So it started with Altair, but it's still probably still happening today.
Yeah.
So.
And has it been a sort of sequential progress as the games move forward in time? They haven't sort of jumped around.
Yes. Well, at the same time, you're revisiting by going back in the past through your DNA.
So a big part of the game is that you play a character who's in the modern day, and then via a variety of technology, using your DNA, you revisit ancestors.
Exactly.
And then you experience their sort of historic
their
periods.
souvenirs, exactly.
Yeah.
So you have to replay exactly what happened during the past of your ancestors to revisit that period of history and try to get clues and basically acts in that war between assassins and Templars. Yeah.
So Assassin's Creed 3, at the Sony press conference, there was this wonderful ship scene where it leaves the land and takes to the high seas. But I was so impressed the way the weather changed. Mm-hmm. We set out to sea, and it became a sort of a cauldron of water. How do you sort of go about creating something like that?
Well, a few things. There was this ambition very early on in the project to have naval battles. Mm-hmm. The main reason is that in the American Revolution, the sea and the power at sea was very important, and it was a huge stake, mainly because supplies, troops were all coming from the old continent. And all these people came to America with these huge ships, but at the same time pretty scary to cross the Atlantic for 30 days or 60 days on these ships.
Yeah, with no satellite navigation.
Yeah. So we wanted to capture some pieces of this. So there are missions that are part of the main path that will conduct you at sea, where you'll be the commander of this Aquila, which is the ship that Connor will drive. And then it opens a lot of opportunities for pursuits, chases, and naval battles.
Yeah.
The fact that the weather is changing is that specific mission was set in the Caribbean. The Caribbean was a place where there were a lot of gunpowder, a lot of supplies, a lot of stakes there to supply patriots. And so that specific mission is happening there. If you've ever been in a tropical country, you'll notice that the weather can change very, very rapidly. Yeah. And within minutes, you're literally from blue water into very stormy weather and pretty scary hurricanes. So we wanted to capture that and then get that huge feel of storm in the tropics.
Yeah, and that seems to be also reflected in your desire to recreate the historic period. It seems to be there's a big attention to detail in the game. So as you explore and climb around these free open cities, you get, I love the feel that you're actually in the time period. So what was it that made you sort of invest so much at recreating particular periods of history?
Well, that's part of the DNA of the franchise. I mean, it's always been about, history is a bit our playground. Yeah. And we want it to be as close as possible to what really happened, and explore some of the mysteries, some of the gray areas of the historical periods with people in the background, maybe the assassins that were influencing the world we live in today. Yeah. So there is a huge concern about being very close to what was happening back then. So we're always working with historians, as well as we even worked with the Mohawk tribes to understand the culture that Connor could have. And we want to make sure the background is right. So also Boston and New York have been modeled about 1/3 of what they used to be in the 18th century. So very close to the actual reality that what happened there. You will even recognize some landmarks like the Boston State House or things like this. So there's a huge attention to details, and we also mix that into these huge scale environments. So you saw the ocean, but of course you saw frontier. Boston is also a huge city where you can explore the harbor area, markets, and tons of activities with a huge crowd life happening there. So we want you to never feel alone in that world, because the world we live in is full of adventures.
It's a populated place.
Exactly.
So all those things combine to create, how you described a playground in which to play. And so, what do you think is the key element of the actual gameplay in an Assassin's Creed? 'Cause it's become quite broad, isn't it? Is there still something which is like the essential DNA of?
Yeah, there are a few things. One of them is the navigation. So for example, in a city or in frontier, you have various ways to navigate. And the crowd slows you down in cities. In frontier, the winter, for example, the deep snow slows you down. So you have to take secondary paths that you're going to discover, and you're going to create your own navigation experience. So in frontier, you're going to climb in trees and explore that upper layer of vegetation. In the cities, you go through roofs, and you can even go through buildings now. So navigation is one of these pillars. Another one is the fight and the combat. So you can either use stealth and solve a lot of the assassinations and the missions through stealth. Or you can go with a more direct approach and just fight, with all the amazing moves and counter moves and kill chains that you probably observed in a few of the demos at E3.
So this is probably the area of the game where it skews the game to an older audience, which is no bad thing. But it's interesting, I think, the way you seem to deal with the violence in Assassin's Creed isn't unthinking. And I remember playing the first game and really sort of pondering on, you would often kill someone, assassinate someone, and there's an engagement with that person just before they died, which sort of calls into question what you've just done, and you're like, oh, perhaps I shouldn't have done that. So where did that come from? Because that's quite unusual in video games. I'm used to seeing unthinking, you just shoot someone and move on. But there was a real, like an ethic.
So there is definitely an ethic. I mean, there is a huge push to learn as you explore these environments, to learn about history, but also to learn about what's right, what's wrong. You're basically, as we discussed earlier, you're replaying the life of one of your ancestors. So if your ancestor didn't kill civilians and so on, you're going to be penalized for doing it. That's not the goal of the game. The goal of the game is to influence political stakes and fight for the assassins against the Templars.
So I presume that violence isn't the only way you would influence the politics of the day. There's other things you can do. Is that right?
Absolutely. And by meeting very famous characters, so in Assassin's Creed 3, you're going to meet with George Washington, you're going to meet with Benjamin Franklin. You're going to be part of that big experience. You're going to be torn as well. It's a civil war. You take a character like Benjamin Franklin, he was on the Patriot side, but his son actually was a loyalist. And we've had a few comments when we demoed Assassin's Creed 3 that, oh, you're there to kill British, and that's weird. Actually, the loyalists and the patriots were all British, and that was not the point. The point was more how to try to become independent and try to sort out these power and balance, the influence of some powers versus others.
Well, thanks for your time. I really appreciate talking to you, and we'll be back with more Family Gamer TV soon.